Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Discover New Music podcast from us at Pelt Music. Shortly, we'll be joined by Attic Theory, who we recently featured over on our Discover New Music playlist on Spotify with their single Violent Delight. But before then, the usual reminders from myself. If you would, please do follow Pelt on social media. We're on Facebook at Pelt and on Twitter and Instagram at Pelt Music. And again, if you would, please do hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, wherever you're watching or listening. Welcome to Lewis from Attic Theory to the Discover New Music podcast. Absolutely delighted to have you on today. First question, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Just getting a bit over a bit of man flu, but yeah, I'm feeling great. I'm feeling great. Yeah, positive about the end of 2024 and beginning of 2025 for the band. So yeah, looking forward to getting out there and gigging again. So,
Oh, I'm sure you are. Yeah, absolutely. It's been a fantastic sort of past 12 months for the band, and we're going to delve into various elements of that. But we always obviously start this podcast with the same question every single time. It's a segment we call the origin story, which is
okay.
obviously a way to introduce the band. Yeah, Discover New Music podcast. Hopefully, some new sort of listeners are going to engage with the band here. Might not know much about obviously Attic Theory, so
Yeah.
the origin story, a bit grandiose, but basically, how did you guys come together and form Attic Theory?
Well, we started off. Peter and myself were from a band called Matchstick Men. And then we met with Tim, who was in a band called Rain May Fall. So we sort of combined two like Liverpool bands that had a decent name on the scene, and then just obviously got the other members along the way. Norm wasn't our original drummer, but he was actually used to be in Rain May Fall as well. That's kind of where we got him from. But with, as you know yourself, from listening to the EP to the album, Norm's drummed on the album, not on the EP, and that's why I think for me, I think that's why it's more of like a powerhouse recording because Norm is just let's just say a thunderous beast. Yeah, and then now we're a five piece. There's been a few things, two of the guys couldn't commit anymore. It's because we're getting really busy. I think it's like
Yeah.
they were like, it's either what can I do? So we're back to a five piece, but we actually sound heavier, which is bizarre. And we have a new bass player called Lucy Ellen, and she's fantastic. So yeah, that's kind
Yeah,
of where we began.
absolutely. It's a tale as old as time,
Mm,
often in the music industry. Yeah, the sort of amalgamation of a couple of relatively successful bands into
yep.
this new sort of thunderous powerhouse, as you say, that is going to push ahead. And obviously, yeah, the success you've had already has been momentous, and we're going to delve into a few
Yep.
aspects of it. But we always start off. Following up with the obviously origin story, we're asking about the song that we recently featured over on the Discover New Music playlist. That's what it's all about for this podcast. And the single we've had on recently is Violent Delight. So we're just going to start
Yep.
off there. So with Violent Delight, what can you tell us about the song? How did it come together for you and what is it all about?
Weirdly, we wrote that one as the opener for the album. We're quite like that. We go, if we hear a song, we're like, that is got to be the way we open it. And so we decided to, I decided to write the lyrics about somebody, a liar. And when you unearth that liar and you realize that, oh, hang on a second, that's brilliant. They've actually been found out. That's kind of what you get, a violent delight, because it's a delightful experience, but you're also a little bit evil because you're like, ha, ha, ha,
Yeah.
ha, they've been found out. That's kind of what the song's about, and it's just about unearthing, somebody who lies basically. And but I wrote it from the point of view of them as like a caged animal, because they're not showing their true colors until the lies are unearthed basically. So
Yeah, and yeah, it's a killer track that I encourage obviously the listeners of this podcast head to the playlist, the accompanying playlist, check it out, have a listen, and then obviously from there, you get a taste for the bands, and you can delve into obviously what we're going to sort of focus on in a moment, which is the obviously
mm,
debut album that come out. But actually, before we get into the album itself, there's one more single I just want to touch upon, and that's Papy and Mashe. I mean,
yeah.
just because when I first sort of see it on a track list, and actually I think I heard it live first of all, and you introduced it, and I'm like, that's not really the name of a song I would expect from a sort of a heavy band. It just I don't know why, but it just struck me as like this unusual song that has really stood out. So obviously when the album came out, I'm like, right, yeah, I really, really want to listen to that track again. And again, just such a great song. And then delving a little deeper into that in a moment, I want to ask you about the video, but just to give the listeners the sort of flavour of the song, what can you tell us about that song as well? What is that song about?
That one is we try to, because it's quite an upbeat song. What we like to do is put the message that's quite dark underneath, just so that people can relate a little bit more without it being like really, slow and drudgery, that sort of thing. So basically, it's about a mental health, and it's about unmasking your like fears and your pain underneath. A lot of it is with medication, and that's what that's where the line is. It's all in the pills. It comes from. It's about having being on medication and kind of taking off the mask and being sort of manipulated by somebody as well. That sort of somebody's put you in that situation. For me, the song means a lot because it's got my guest and my favorite singer on it, Kev
Yeah.
Martin from Candlebox. That was just mental how that came about. I'm a massive fan. I met him a few years ago, and we got on like a house on fire, but we got a picture taken, and I look miserable. He's smiling his head off in the picture, and I'm just like really miserable. So it became a running joke with us, but he put it on the Candlebox Facebook. So then we eventually played with him, so a lot, got to know him, stuff like that, and then he offered one time when we were doing the album. He's like, "If you want me to sing on a song, I'll do it." I was like, "Are you messing?" He's like, "No, no, no, no." So eventually the time came. I'm like, "Kev, are you cool to do that?" And he was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." So he phoned me from the studio and was like, "So man, what do you want from this?" And I was like, "Oh, okay. Got my favorite singer on the phone. This is really weird." And then told him what I wanted, and well, he already had ideas. But the decent thing is, because I was such a big fan of Candlebox, I was able to use reference points. So, like, from that song you're doing that one, can you do that? A bit of power on this, please. And yeah, it was great. It was a great experience for me because I was like, it's my favorite singer.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, it is amazing, really, because obviously there is that sort of old adage of never meet your heroes. So
Yeah.
to get to do that and it to go so well for you as well, and obviously
Yeah.
he seems like a top bloke.
Yeah, nicest man I've ever met. Amazing guy. Amazing guy.
Yeah. Obviously, yeah. I just think that's such a great story, and
Mm.
for it to happen on the sort of debut album as well, just sort of must stand. You're always going to have that to look back on, and just like because the debut album will be momentous enough as it is. But yeah, to think of the various experiences, that one in particular that comes along with it, yeah, absolutely
Mm.
fantastic. Well, that's what doing this is all about, in my
Yeah.
opinion, for sure, is memories like that, and yeah, it's great. And also what's great, and obviously I alluded to it earlier. So regular listeners of the podcast will know. Just I'm a bit of a music video geek. I grew up obviously watching music TV before and after school, Kerrang and Scuzz and
Yeah.
MTV back when there was actual music on it. So I've always just had this affinity with music videos. I think it just adds an extra layer to the songs. Sometimes adds an extra layer to the band themselves and gives you an
Mm.
insight into the band. And I always just have a quick little go on YouTube because that's where everyone sort of takes that all in these days, isn't it? Yeah, music
Yeah.
TV, it's
Yeah.
not really a thing anymore. So I went on YouTube, and the one that stood out again was Papy and Mashe because it's got this great animated video to it, and I love looking for music videos that are a little bit different, because it's all well and good. Let's just rent a warehouse and play our instruments and
Yeah.
like maybe like sprinkle some water over us while we do it. It's been done so many times,
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
that video I think is fantastic. There'll be a link obviously in the bio for all of this, and listeners need to go and watch it and check it out. But for you, how did that video? Where did the concept come from, and how did you go about putting it into practice?
Um, all the concepts weirdly come from me. The guys, I have to start when we talk about music videos because we did one on the EP as well called My Own Design, and it's quite strange. So yeah, this one I was like, guys, I've got a weird idea for a video, and that's how everything starts. And they normally know that's quite like that's a good sign. So basically, I mapped it out of what I wanted. I was like, this is going to cost a fortune. You say, this is going to cost a fortune if we do it really. Like, we're going to have to get like straight jackets. We're going to have to get, make it like a warehouse, water poured on us. And I was like, no, I don't want to do the same thing. So and I was like, I want Kevin the video. So originally the idea was to send him, the front cover's like a mask. I was going to get one of them made, like 3D model, one of them made, and send it to him. So at the end of the video, he'd just take off the mask. We were like, no, how else can we get him in it? So I was like, animated. And then there's a guy, Stud Face, who did the video. Stud Face Productions, absolutely amazing. He'd done all the bands that I'd seen. I think he'd done Doomsday Outlaw. I'd seen the video before. I was like, this is absolutely amazing. So I contacted him, and I said, listen, I've got this weird idea. What do you think? And he went, I can easily do that, mate. That sounds great. I was like, think One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. We use that as a reference point. And because obviously that's the sort of archaic way of looking at mental health. So we thought, like, yeah, okay, we'll do that. Proper, use the word mental asylum and stuff like that. And yeah, we went from there. And then obviously, I'm a big fan of South Park. So I was like, how can we make this a bit weird? And then obviously there's the version with, is it Lemony Winks? So I was like, do you know what? Let's put a mouse in it. Let's do that. Let's do it from the journey of the mouse, like he does in South Park, but obviously not from the angle he does in South Park. And we'll do it like that and have it from the mouse's point of view. And then it turns out, I thought, do you know what? Let's make a little bit of a twist. Let's make the mouse the hero, and even name the mouse. And one of the things that we didn't do, which is upsetting, because things moved on, things into the next single. I got our children's book printed.
Oh
And
wow.
we were gonna do story time, but we were a bit ominous about how to do it because without it coming across a bit weird. But I've got a proper storybook made by a publisher, and I made it into a storybook.
Oh, that is
But yeah,
incredible.
it's one of those things. Once we delved into it, we went a bit crazy. But I love the animated versions of all of us. I think it's absolutely amazing.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it works so well and stands out again. It really, really does. And I love all the little Easter eggs that you just described that are held
Mm,
within it. And that's what I just love about, music videos. You can do so much with them, but it's a lost art these days. And you touched on one of the biggest reasons is obviously just
mm,
the cost of doing them. And the
yeah,
benefit of them isn't what it was once before. So obviously that benefit versus, cost analysis that probably goes in from a lot of bands, weighs on the side of, nah, we're not going to bother, or we're just going to do something, that's just really simple, But I appreciate the efforts is the point I really want to just say, like,
yeah.
because
Thank you.
I always love when I can watch something like that. And
Yeah,
obviously listeners, again, head to YouTube. There's a number of videos on there from the band to check out. And it's always, I think worth giving a shout and a point in that direction for listeners, because the sort of passion that goes into making these, as you've just displayed yourself,
yeah,
Lewis, it deserves attention. It does.
yeah,
So yeah, listeners, definitely go and check that out. And obviously, as you're checking that out, the next step, as we've touched upon for listeners, for me to point them towards, is obviously that debut album. So what we fear the most. Obviously, always a great experience to put out, debut album, that first sort of meatier bit of work. You obviously had the EP as well, which would have been a milestone, and then this is the sort of next step up to say, yes, this is this is real now. This band means something. We've got something that we can show that we've achieved. And you're about 2 months in now from the release. So the first question really is just, how have you found the reaction to the release of the album?
phenomenal, to be honest. One of the things I was shocked about, like, we were, all these bands wanted, chart, get in the UK chart, but we were realistic about that. We were like, if we do, we do. We did a lot of pre-sales. We were like, if we do, we do. But we never expected to get in the iTunes charts. We didn't expect that. On day one, I'm just, sifting through, just having a look. Oh, it'd be lovely if we were on there. And I go onto the alternative chart, and because a lot of the time we're boxed in the alternative, not rock, for some reason. And we were at number 17. I was just like, what? It's just like, and then Tim, obviously I messaged Tim. So Tim had literally looked on the normal, the standard, the mainstream one. It's not the highest number, but we were at 165. See, just above us is like Creed and Pearl
Yeah.
Jam and all this, and we're just like people that we listen to. Wow, like wow, wow. So that was a big achievement for us, and it was, yeah. I think it's been really, really well received, and but I think they're going to be surprised, and all bands probably say this about the next album, because it was so well received. We decided to start writing straight away. We've already got 5 songs, I think, for
Yeah,
6 songs already. Like it's given us such a buzz to continue and to make something even, even better, basically. So yeah, it's how well received it was is unbelievable. Everyone says how one of the things that I think is one of the most important things about an album. I never look at it as an individual track, because lots of people do. They just go, "Oh, people just listen to singles." Well, if
yeah,
they want to listen to singles, that's fine. But you've got to look at that as a full story. So the album's got to flow, and that's kind of what we try and do. A couple of reviews said it didn't flow as well as they thought, but again, that's one or two people. The rest, everyone said it's flowed perfectly, and that's what we kind of wanted to do. Start hard. With this one, we decided to finish soft, and then have like your sort of ballad in the middle, and
yeah.
then just all bangers in between. So yeah, it's as long as it flows, that's kind of the listener does gets you don't want the listener to sort of lose interest
Exactly.
listening to the full thing.
Yeah, no, I love to hear that because much like videos being a lost art, I always say as well, just the track listing on an album and the emphasis on it being a collection rather than just we got 2 or 3 big singles and then we just put some filler in it. That you've actually you can tell
Exactly.
you've given it the love that it deserves really, and it comes across. I mean, obviously we gave it a really good review,
You
and
did, you did. Thank you.
it's one of my favorite albums of the year so far,
Thank you.
absolutely. So listeners obviously definitely need to check it out, and the charting as you say shows the sort of great audience you've already been able to cultivate that are going to go out and obviously purchase and stream the music, and whilst you say that might not be the highest number. When you take into account how these charts are collated these days, and you
Yeah,
take out the fact that everyone's streaming, Pearl Jam, I think you mentioned, and other bands,
yeah,
Creed, they're always going to be in the charts. I mean, Mr. Brightside, The Killers has obviously been in the top 100
yeah,
singles for like 2 decades or whatever it is.
yeah.
It's ridiculous. It's always going to be there. You take
Yeah,
all of those types of tracks, all those type of albums out, and you find actually no, that's really
yeah,
respectable as far as a new album coming out. You've absolutely smashed it. So
yeah,
yeah, definitely deserve to give it the credit that it deserves. And
thank you, thank you.
also noticed as well, which I think is a testament to the quality of the album, and obviously your sort of songwriting that takes in from various kind of influences. As you said, you always get pigeonholed into the alt rather than the sort of
Yeah,
metal and whatnot. And I can see that to some extent because it was such a diverse kind of album. Whilst all being packaged within that sort of Attic Theory brand, and obviously it's got that running sort of aesthetic throughout it.
yeah,
Equally, it kept me interested, and that is, as you say, such a key thing because it's all well and good going on. We've had some success with this song, so let's write 10 more of this song. It's like,
yeah,
all right, well, that first song was good, and the rest of them are pretty decent, but it is wearing a bit thin now. Whereas, say, What We Fear the Most for me really stands out because of the different sort of genres that go into it, the different styles of each sort of track, and again, listeners hopefully will think, yeah, well, I listen to that, and they'll go and do that, and they should absolutely. So, next question on the album, really, for me, is just obviously that whole recording process for that album. How was that experience for you this time? You touched on obviously the members of the band have all been in different bands before, so probably
yeah.
experienced similar recording processes for either just singles, EPs, albums, whatever it is. But obviously coming together this time round for you and putting that debut Attic Theory album together, what were your sort of key takeaways from that experience?
Um, I think from my key takeaway, because halfway through the recording it, I had to have voice surgery,
Wow.
which was pretty heavy. And I think that's one of the things. This album means quite a lot to me because I fought through it. I had to take a few months off, and then I came back fighting basically. And yeah, the recording process was split. It's the only way to describe it. But we used the same producer, the same gear, the same everything. So that's why it doesn't sound, the songs don't like change. Everything's used, the same stuff. So um yeah, it's for me it means a lot, and it's shown me, and I've grown as a musician, I think, and how to deal with my own voice, how to deal with things, how to record, what's the best way of me to record. I think that's kind of where I'm at with it, when I was doing it, and everyone else is positive about it. A couple of the songs were written. Two of them were written towards the end of the album as well. I think it was The Legacy and Sweet Parasite, because we believed that two of the songs that were already on it weren't strong enough. And we just jibbed them off and recorded those two. And they were written. We were like, no, we can write something better. We can do something better. And I think it was the best decision we made, to be honest. And yeah, I think the guys love it, and I think that's one of the reasons why Peter and Kenny aren't with us anymore in the band, because I think they've done their project, they've done a debut album, they've done I've been with band with Peter for very long time, and I was in Matchstick Men with him, my old band, and so I'm with him for like 20 years, and I think sometimes enough's enough. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like and he wants to go on to new horizons, but I think we're just getting started, and so I had a different viewpoint on it. And mine's like, no, no, no. This is the staple now that people have got of our sound. They go, right. This is this. What can they do to become like bigger? What can they do for their different sound? What can they do? For a perfect example is I'm a big fan of Stone Temple Pilots. You've got Core, which is like a big banger album. And then they released their second album, Purple, which for me is a masterpiece. I think it's one of the best albums ever written. And that's kind of where we're
Mm.
going. We're going with like, we've written this amazing album. What can we do to do better? And we did the same thing with the EP as well. We're like, this is an amazing EP. Everyone loves it. What can we do to be a bit different? Because we don't want to just, like you said before, play the same thing. We don't want to play 11 songs of the same. And it's like, I think that's where we went from there. It was I think everyone's really proud of what they've done. We mentioned about the track listing and stuff before. One of the things we did on Dare to Dream, it jolts, but that's for the vinyl. That was on purpose. So we did it so that people think when they turn over the vinyl that the vinyl's scratched. So when they go to check the vinyl, it bangs in. So yeah, but we've taken it out in the single version. When we released that, it's just bang straight in. But yeah, I absolutely adore the album. I think bands are all about moving forward as well, aren't they? And I'll always love these songs, and we've already, because of the sort of reception it got, we're basically ready to write the next one. That's how we are, because we're like, this everyone well received. Let's do it. Let's give them something else. It's also because people waited for so long, because again, I had my throat surgery, and there was everyone seems to forget about a pandemic.
Yeah.
People seem to forget about that, even though it was in 2020. People seem to forget about it. Album takes a couple of years to make. I think it does. A lot of the time, you see these bands that go into the studio for 2 weeks, haven't written a song. I don't work like that. I don't think the lyrics could have enough love, basically. And I by the time I finish recording the album, I'll be like, I really wanted to change that bit. So it's kind of I like to sit on it a little bit and get the lyrical content strong before we release anything.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah. I couldn't agree. More with you. It's such a fantastic attitude, and yeah, it reminds me. I've had this conversation with a few people in the past around like why bands have this sort of great first album, and then always a lot of bands sort of peter off. And I've always said it's not just because obviously you have an affinity with that first album, because it's discovering new music. Hence, it's called Discover New Music Podcast. It's such
yeah,
a labor of love. You find a band, and it's just such a cool experience to get into a new band that you have that affinity with that first album. But equally, from the band perspective, they've probably been writing them songs and obviously, like creating that for a substantial period of time. And then, like you say, the follow-on albums, there's then pressure. We need another album, lads. Get in the studio, 2 weeks, done. And obviously the songs that come after don't always get that same sort of time with the artist to go, and like you, I love the fact that you said you cut two songs. You said they
yeah,
weren't good enough. We got rid of them. We've got two, wrote two better songs. Like again, just such a fantastic attitude, and will serve you well going forward. I'm absolutely
thank
sure
you.
of it. So yeah, no, it's yeah, really really fascinating delving into it, and obviously I can't wait to see what comes next, really, from Attic Theory. So yeah,
Yeah, we've as I say, we're surprised at what we're hearing now as well. It's a lot of the big songs were written by Tim and myself, so it's obviously really upsetting to lose Peter. But the likes of Your Light, Paper Mache, Violent Delight, big bangers like that, even The Legacy, were written initially by Tim, and then I've obviously written the lyrics to them all. So it's a shame that he's gone, but at the same time, we know it. You guys should be like, know that we are going to release bangers. It's the easiest way to say it without being horrible. We're still going to be able to produce the strong songs, basically, is without being any nasty or anything like that. Because all the big ones that me and Tim have initially come up with. So
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, look forward to getting some more bangers from
yeah.
you. Absolutely. And obviously, yeah, leading on from obviously the album, I got to catch you live. I mean, time flies so much. You say about people forgetting about the pandemic. I think it was last year. It might even have been the year before when you supported Dead Man's Whiskey.
That was last
Um,
year. Last year,
yeah,
yeah.
God, yeah, I lose track of time absolutely.
Same
But
here.
obviously, listeners, once you've listened to the album and you've checked everything else out, the next thing you need to do is come and see the band live. Now, obviously, it's festival season. You've got a handful of festivals lined up for this
Yeah.
summer, and obviously an opportunity there for fans to come out and see you and catch some other new bands as well, which would be fantastic. What are the plans sort of thereafter for live shows? Will it sort of coincide with the new music coming forward? What are you looking at doing?
Well, what we're gonna do, I think, after these festivals and stuff, we're just gonna play for a bit. So what I mean by that is we're just gonna if there's a support slot here, we'll jump on that. We're probably gonna do a Christmas show. We're gonna any dates that come up that's a decent, like I said, a decent support, we'll jump on, and then we're gonna do a UK tour in 2025. Details haven't been confirmed, but we're penciling what we're doing, and then obviously, then next year try and jump on, bigger festivals if we can. But yeah, we're 100% doing a tour next year, a UK
Yeah.
tour, and we want to. Norm won't shut up. He wants to go to Europe, so um, we went to Europe with Tantric, and it was one of the best experiences of my life. So one of the things I think, we want to target Germany. We're actually being sensible as well. We're looking at statistics, so stuff on Spotify, stuff on Apple Music. We're looking at all like where are our big listeners basically, and we're going to try and go there, or an area around there. Because we mentioned YouTube before, like we do get a lot of views, but Spotify for us,
Hmm.
for some reason, that's where we get all of our listens, and I have no idea why. So we were last time I looked, I think we've gone down now, but we were on 10,000 monthly listeners, and for a band of our size, I was like, wow,
Yeah.
Um, I'm obsessed with playlists as well, though, so it could have something to do with that. So yeah, that could be it. But it's so we just want to travel around. We just want to get, now that we've got a solid recording behind us, while we write the new one, play that recording, show everyone what we've got, and then when we release the new stuff, we hopefully should have a larger fan base. And
Yeah.
that's kind of the plan behind it.
No,
So
it's good. It's good that you got a plan because a lot of bands, to be honest with you, don't. It's a bit as simple.
yeah,
So yeah, no, that is fantastic, and obviously it's a nice segue for me because I always like to give out the social handles, and obviously with knowing there's a tour coming but it's not announced yet, that's great because I can tell fans, well, if you want to see it when it's announced, go and follow Attic Theory on social media. That's what you need to do. So obviously on the YouTube version of this, it should pop up in the corner, but I read it out as well, even though I'm pretty sure fans would find you without me because it is pretty simple on Facebook and X, and I think that's the first time I remembered to call it X and not Twitter. It's at Attic Theory. Instagram is at Attic Theory Band. So again, there'll be links in the bio, listeners. Go and follow the band and obviously find out these tour dates when they get announced and obviously the new music. And as we're on the live side of things, that leads us into our last segment, again, quite nicely. It's called Setlist Science. So I'm a music video geek, a track list geek, I'm a set list geek as well. I'm just a massive geek, basically, when it comes to music. So
yes,
set lists. The main question for Setlist Science is, how much importance do you place into the structure of your set lists, and have you got any rules that you tend to follow?
yes, we do.
Right answer.
Tuning is one of the rules that we follow. Tuning. So basically, I make notes on my own set list, about where I need to talk a bit more, or engage with the audience a bit more, or I'll even just use an asterisk to give me a little bit of a clue, that I need. Well, they need a minute to tune. I'll talk to the audience. Um, Flowing again. Too many like chilled songs in a live scene is not a good idea. Together anyway, following on, not good. I always like to put children in the middle, just so it doesn't, destroy the sort of flow of the set. And then, yeah, I'm not adverse to covers either. If we know a few covers, so if the set is going down like a lead balloon, um, we'll throw a cover in. But we kind of know which one we're going to do before we go out in case there's an issue, or like a little encore as well. We throw something in like that. So,
Yeah.
but what we try and do with our covers is, we try and make them sound like us. We're one of those bands where we don't just cover the song. We've like change it basically. So we've got a few that we're going to be unleashing this year. So
Oh, well, there's
yeah,
something else for
yeah,
definitely for listeners to look forward to.
yeah,
But I mean, the key thing I picked up on that answer was something I always I'm sort of keen to see from bands, and that's adaptability. You said,
yeah,
if we read in the room and the room's not with us, we'll change it
yeah,
up. Because I mean, I've I see a lot of live music, and it's more and more and more of a thing these days where a band have got a set list, and that's the set list they play for the entire tour. Doesn't matter where
yeah,
they're playing, what they do, and there's reasons behind it, and obviously, there's benefits to it, absolutely. But I love when a band's able to say, you know what, tonight it's just not working, and actually, let's change it up a little bit. And so again, kudos to you for identifying that, and kind of answering a little bit my the follow-on question on this segment, which is around encores,
mm,
because I'm I always flip flop on this nowadays, but historically, I'm a passionate believer in encores for just the romance of them, just because that's what, we grew up, we had encores. Whereas a lot of bands now, again, literally last night I saw Smashing Pumpkins in London, and
mm,
then there's no encore, literally just finish on zero, that's it, done, gone. And again, thankfully, I knew the set list because I look at it before I went, so I'm like, yeah, no, I know that, and as soon as the last note plays, I'll shuttle off to the train or whatnot. But a lot of bands aren't doing set lists these days, and it became a bit of an internet meme, didn't it?
yeah.
Peekaboo for adults is what they called it, didn't they? So I always just like to now ask that question, and obviously just see what your thoughts are on encores, both obviously for yourself, and it sounds like that's a positive for the band, for Attic Ferry, and also obviously when you're a fan going out, what do you like? Do you like encores, or do you think, nah, not so much anymore?
See, that's the thing. Just to finish what I was saying before, the songs, you're saying about adaptability.
Hmm.
One thing that we do, for example, I'll just reel off something for set list. You've got Violent Delight, and then we're not sure what song we're having next, so we'll have Narrow Lines slash doesn't matter next to each other. So we'll have songs in the same tuning next to each other to
Hmm.
see which one goes better, basically. So we're always prepared, basically. But
Yeah.
with regards to set encores, I yeah, I like them, but we don't do them at the minute. What we do is I make a joke and kind of say, if you this is our last song, and I wink at the audience, but I do that thing where I say wink, and like I basically entice them to shout more. What I like doing at the moment is just dropping the lights. So we're still on stage. We're ready to go. Let them shout a second. Lights come back on. That's kind of because, like you said, it's the magic, but
Hmm.
sometimes they can get a bit tiresome when the band doesn't come out after 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's a quick get off, get a drink, wipe yourself down, come back on. That's kind of what I would, if I was to do a proper encore, that's what I'd want to do. Because the thing is, as well, the singer's voice will cool down,
Hmm.
and they don't, I think I went to see Slash, and I'm sure the encore was Rocket Man.
Yes. Yeah,
So
it
it was a
was.
dead
I went as
chills,
well.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah.
dead chilled
Yeah.
song. And that was cool. I like that. That was worth it because you had
Hmm.
to understand that he went off for the encore because he had to change what he was playing because he was sitting down with it, wasn't he?
Yeah,
It wasn't a
he
lot still, but
was.
it was sitting
Yeah,
down. So you understand that he's had to change what he's doing. So you get that. There's a few, to be honest, that's good. If a piano got rolled out or a keyboard got put on, you'd be like, yes, I understand why it's taking longer because they're sorting that out. But if there's just someone to go back and be like, I love the sound of the applause, that's, it's a bit arrogant there. It's just, the audience want you to play your songs. They want you to play, let's be honest, they want you to play your singles. Let's be
yeah,
honest. They want to play that big song. They want you to play that. And obviously, I'll quickly tell you an experience about that. I played a top loader a few years ago in a
yeah,
different band. They played Dancing in the Moonlight before the encore.
yeah,
Everyone got off.
yeah,
Singer turned around and said, we've got more songs to play as everybody's clearing up the tent. I had to stay because I'd left something on the stage. So I had to wait to be like, they're playing to like 50 to 100 people, which was like a full tent previously, like
yeah.
thousands of people. Yeah, yeah. And it's just everyone got off. I've heard that song. Bye. See you later.
Yeah, yeah, and I think more and more that is, yeah, we talk about streaming and obviously only listening to singles. Obviously, I think there's a mentality that is creeping in of obviously, yeah, these. I saw again, actually, I saw Liam Gallagher 2 nights ago in London doing Definitely Maybe in full with a load of B-sides as well, and it struck me how obviously the crowd were going absolutely mental for the big singles, but literally all the other songs just sat down talking to each other. Not and even Liam himself sort of commented on it, and it was just really obvious that they were only interested in the. And he basically, he actually said, "Oh, maybe next time I'll just do cigarettes and alcohol 30 times over." And you could see he was a bit miffed, that he wasn't getting
Yeah,
that. And obviously, a top loader doing that was probably a bit of a considering how long they've been going, they probably should have
yeah,
known by now that would happen. But I have seen it creep in. I've seen a few shows. There was one of a band I really, really like recently. And again, I knew the set list in advance. So I knew there was a 2-song encore with two of their better songs, at the end as well. But they went off stage and the audience just left. And I'm sort of stood there going, come on, guys, there's more songs here. And then eventually, because so many had left, the sound guy obviously was just like, and the lights on, music on. And I could see the band milling about going, oh, I guess we're not doing this encore then. And it was just the
wow,
most awkward thing. And I was just like, all right, I guess I'll just mosey on out of here as well then. Like,
wow.
yeah.
That's
Um,
heavy there.
yeah, a bit awkward that one. So yeah, I think there's a
Wow.
lesson as well in
Yeah,
maybe, like you say, not leaving it too long before you come back on. Yeah, and I think I like the way that you handle it. It's really, really good. So
thanks, man. Thanks.
yeah. No, it's been obviously fantastic chatting through everything this going on with the band, over the last 12 months, but also with what's coming up, which is always key as well. So it's been a fantastic talk. But I always just give the final message really back to you as the guest and say what would be your last sort of message for the listeners today.
Um, yeah, I'd go out and listen to What We Fear the Most. When people hear the title, we're not being, all metal or like, extreme core and being like, what we fear the most. It's all about mental health. It's all about things you deal with on a day-to-day basis. It's all about the struggles, and it's kind of me trying to, empathize with everyone. And, I go through those things as well. The guys go through those things, and, we're trying to, show, you're not alone in in your struggles, and that's kind of the message we did with Narrow Lines. It's, there's always someone to talk to, and we thought that was quite a strong message for the entire record, to be honest. And yeah, just go and listen to it and enjoy it, basically. Yeah,
Yeah, that is always the key message with these, absolutely. And yeah, it's been great chatting with you, Lewis. Thank you so much,
been
obviously,
wonderful
for
having me
coming on
on.
the
Thank you, man.
podcast. Well, thank you everyone for listening. I really do hope you enjoyed that chat there with Attic Theory. Do make sure that you follow the band across social media to stay up to date with everything coming from them. And of course, also follow Full Pelt. We're on Facebook at Full Pelt and on Twitter and Instagram at Full Pelt Music. And finally, if you would, please do hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, whatever you're watching or listening, because we'll be back very soon with another episode of the Discover New Music podcast.